Hey there everybody, it's Maggie from Personal Euphoria, and today by request I'm going to go over how to do a side plank, which is actually a little bit my signature move. I love the side plank and I do it on my travels and I do it at the top of a mountain, which is usually when it's the hardest because everything's exhausting. But it's a fun move and there's all sorts of ways to break it down. So from beginner to advanced. So the great thing about side plank is how much it's working. It's working stability, strength, balance. It's working the shoulder, the muscles all around your armpit, your obliques, your outer thigh, right? It's really working the whole line of the side body. So it's not always a good choice because of the instability for someone who has something going on with your shoulder or your wrist. If putting all your body weight into your wrist strains the wrist, it's not worth it, right? We can come up with all sorts of other exercises to hit those points. Another option would also be to roll up a yoga mat and put your palm on that so there's not such a deep break at the wrist. That's just something to play with. So to start out, you would have your wrist roughly beneath your shoulder. It can be a scooch forward, but you don't want it too far away from you. And your fingers are pointed away from you. Your knees are bent, but you're as wide through the front of your hips as possible, right? So you don't want your knees forward like you're in tabletop. You're pulling your legs back. And then the movement comes initially from the shoulder. So I'm exaggerating here. You don't necessarily start collapsed into your shoulder, but you lift away from your shoulder. Then you should feel all the muscles of your ribs activate, then your abs, then the side of your hip, and you would come up here and add raising that arm. And if you wanted to, you can incorporate leg lifts. But you should feel all that work, right? And you want to think of where your elbow's pointed. If you come up and your elbow's rotated in that direction, a lot of strain on that shoulder. You want to think of your arm rotating, so your elbow rotates more towards your butt. So basically, I'm on my hand, and I'm not letting my elbow rotate back. It's rotating back. I'm opening through my shoulder here. Okay, then if you want to advance that, you would do legs straight, one foot in front of the other. And now this is going to put, because we're lifting more body weight, more work into all those muscles, more pressure on that shoulder joint, and require more balance. All right, so we would lift up, one foot in front of the other, and raise that arm up. And you can play with that. You only need to hold it 10, 20 seconds, right? But then you also want to lower with control, because the plank isn't just about being here, right? It's about the transition, feeling shoulder, serratus, obliques, side of your glutes, all those muscles start to engage, and then stabilize, and can you balance? Also, backtracking a bit, if your wrist is bothering you, although sometimes I'm doing this on the floor, you probably want to pad your elbow. It's not that I'm on my elbow, but there's pressure there. You can lift up and take the joint from the elbow down out of it, right? So you don't have to be on your wrist and you're still using your shoulder. In this case, my elbow's at a 90 degree, my hand's forward. You could do a little rotation up, right? So either position would sort of target those muscles differently, but not hurt. You wouldn't necessarily try to be this far open with your fingers in the same direction. Finally, you can, to any of them, I already mentioned it in kneeling, add a leg lift. But if you're starting with straight legs, this is going to be even more weight and pressure and more work and more balance and stability in that shoulder joint. So you're going to come up, and then if you want, lift and lower the leg. Now, people sometimes overarch. This is a side bend, different exercise, not necessarily wrong, but in that side plank, you're looking for straight line, right? You could tilt your head up to protect the neck or go straight out, playing with how that feels. And of course, you do both sides. But the great thing about a side plank is it's really shoulder and all the muscles down the leg. And if you go to straight leg, even more of them. So that's basically the gist on how to do a side plank. If you have questions, let me know. If something wasn't clear, we can revise this. But otherwise, I hope you have a good day. I hope you keep moving and have fun playing.